Okay, so today we're going to learn how to repair a torn seam. If you don't have your own torn seam, we're going to use a practice piece of fabric, and that's the one that you've got. So this is the side that is facing everybody. So for example, if that was your shirt, then it would have whatever is on the outside of it, right? Let's just say it says EJH. Okay, that's the outside of my shirt. So I need to be doing my sewing on the inside of the shirt, which means I'm going to be turning my shirt inside out. Okay, so now it's inside out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pins. These are the pins from the pin cushion, and I'm going to pin across the edge to make sure that my edge doesn't slip around and move while I'm sewing it together. Okay, so remember how I talked to you about folding it and then putting your needle through to save your needle? You're doing the same thing except with pins. So you're just going to fold it, match up the edges up here at the top, and it folds, and then you go through it. Okay, so you're going to do that about an inch apart all the way across until you've got pins across all the top of it, and it won't move around while you're stitching. Okay, so that's where I've got that done. Okay, so my next step is to start sewing it, and I'm going to use a back stitch on this. So I'm going to be sewing probably about 1 centimeter from the edge. I don't want to get too close to the edge because then my stitches might end up ripping through the fabric. So it's going to be about 1 centimeter, and if you wanted to draw a line across to help guide you, you can do that. So it's going to be about 1 centimeter from this edge, okay? And I'm going to start right here in the corner. So I'm going to go through. Remember, I need to pull my thread all the way until my knot gets stuck, okay? There shouldn't be a lot of loops back here. So I'm going to pull it all the way until the thread can't pull anymore. I'm going to make my first stitch. My first stitch should probably be maybe 3/4 of a centimeter long. And I'm going to pull. Okay, there's my first stitch. Now this is a back stitch. So with a back stitch, I'm going to go forward with my needle, but then I'm going back to that first stitch I did, and I'm going to go in that hole. It doesn't have to be the same exact hole, it's just meeting it so that there's not a gap between the stitches. And I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to go ahead, the same width. Your stitches need to be the same width apart, and they should be pretty small. If you have bigger stitches, then your finger is going to be able to fit through there, which means that once you turn it right side out, it's going to have holes or gaps. We don't want that. So I'm going to keep continuing, going forward a bit with my stitches, and then going back to the last one I did. That's your back stitch. So it looks like this on the front. On the other side, it should pretty much look the same. Okay, we have a little bit of a loop there, so that means I didn't pull tight when I should have. So I'm just going to make sure that for the next ones I do. Now when you get to your pin, you can either pull it out or you can leave it in. Sometimes it's easier to work with it if you just go ahead and pull it out and get it out of the way. Okay, now keep sewing. You're going to do it until you have gone all the way across, or until you have just a little bit of thread left, enough to make a knot so that your stitches don't come undone. Okay, so remember, if I need enough thread to make my stitches have a knot so they don't come undone, that means that my thread has to be at least 2 lengths of the needle. So that's 1 length, about that much. So I need at least double that space. That much the thread has to be left so I can tie my knot at the back. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've sewn most of this up, and I only have a little bit of thread left. That much is left, so I'm going to go ahead and tie a knot before I run out of thread and I don't have enough to tie a knot and make sure that my stitches don't come undone. So remember, tying a knot, I'm going to end on the same side that I have my knot on from the first time I put my needle through. So there's my first knot. My last knot is going to be over here on the edge on that same side. So we're going to go through the last stitch I did, make a loop, go through the loop and pull. Okay, go through a stitch, make a loop, go through the loop, pull. Once I've done that 2 or 3 times, I'm going to go ahead and cut my thread. Okay, so that's it for that side. I'm going to cut close to it, not right on top of it because I don't want to cut the knot. And that's my repair on the seam. Now I'm going to turn it right side out and see how it looks. So my stitches look pretty good. See right there how that's starting to come undone? It means it was a little bit loose on that side. And that was probably the side that we ended up tying our knot on. Yep, see? So if you were really repairing a seam, you'd keep going until you came to the same spot where it's already sewn and didn't need to be repaired. But if I pull it enough, it should look okay. Now, if you were doing your own repair, I would probably have picked a color of thread that matched this so it wasn't so obvious where my stitches were, so I should have used white. But it did the job. I sewed up what needed to be sewn, and it's good to go.